In today's video, we are checking out 6 different harmon style mutes from Mutec. What's going on, everyone? My name is Josh Rzepka, and today is Mute Monday. If you're new around here, welcome. Mute Monday is a series where I talk about and demonstrate different trumpet mutes. This is the 41st video in this series. I've covered well over 100 mutes, and today we are talking Mutec harmon mutes. If you've ever been curious about the harmon mute offerings from Mutec, and if you've ever wondered which one is right for you, the standard one, the larger one, or the bubble one, well, you're going to want to watch this video. Now, before we dive into things, a very big thank you to Mutec for sending me these mutes. This video is not sponsored, but they did send me the mutes to include in this video. Mutec makes 3 different models, 3 different designs of the Harmon Wah Wah mute, and let me show you every single mute that you're going to be hearing in this video. First up, we have the MHT120 traditional aluminum Wah Wah mute. If you look at this, you're going to see that this is basically your standard Harmon trumpet mute in aluminum. It is beautifully made. The craftsmanship is terrific. This is really the most standard and traditional of the Harmon mutes that they make, basically the equivalent of a Harmon Model B, which is the original true Harmon mute. Now, next up is the MHT121. This is the exact same design, the same dimensions as the first mute. However, this is in copper. The big difference between the two of these is that the copper mute, this is really quite heavy. You can really tell a big difference between these two mutes. Now, the next mute I have is the MHT122. This mute is discontinued. This is the exact same traditional wah wah mute, but it is in brass. It doesn't weigh quite as much as the copper, but it definitely weighs more than the aluminum. I really like the color of this mute, but as I said, it is discontinued. Next up is the MHT123 large aluminum wah wah mute. Check this out. You can see it's actually a different profile than the traditional one. You can see there is a height difference, and the diameter of the bottom is different between these two mutes. But check it out up close. This is a really nice mute, beautifully made. Now, this design also comes in copper, and that is the model MHT124. Check this out. I really dig the copper mutes. They just look so sharp and they play so great. Now, the final 2 mutes are bubble mutes. These are much bigger, and they are rounder, and they are heavier, and check them out up close. This first one, the aluminum one, is the MHT130. It's got a really round, full bubble shape to it. Then the MHT131. That is the bubble mute in copper. Check this out up close. It is the exact same dimensions as the aluminum one, and because of the material, it really weighs a whole lot more. All right, so those are all the mutes I'm going to be demonstrating, so let's hear them. Alright, so you've just heard all 7 of these mutes, and what did you think? Any surprises there? Which one was your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. Very interested to know what you thought. Starting off with this first one, that MHT120, the traditional aluminum Wah Wah mute. I gotta say, very impressed. This is a great mute. Plays very well. The intonation is great. The response is great. It really plays throughout all the registers very nicely. The sound doesn't break up in any specific parts. It's got a nice buzz to it. If you are looking for just a standard run-of-the-mill Harmon mute, this is a great option. It really does a great job. Now, moving on to the MHT121, the copper traditional Wah Wah mute. You could really hear a very big difference between the aluminum and the copper, couldn't you? It just projects so much, and the sound quality is it's a different buzz. It has a different ring to it. It really has got some oomph to it. I will say though, this is a heavy mute. I noticed it in the end of the bell. Anytime you've got a copper mute, it is going to weigh the end of your bell down because they are heavy. But with that extra mass, you get that projection. And the intonation for this is just as good as the traditional aluminum. So a really nice option. And if you're just looking for a little more firepower and maybe a darker sound with more projection, this is going to be one that you may want to get. Now, the MHT122, this discontinued mute in brass. What did you think about this? Really a unique sound. Totally different than the aluminum and the copper. This doesn't weigh quite as much as the copper mute, but I feel like it really projected pretty well. I will say with this mute, I had a little difficulty locking everything in and getting as balanced of a sound as I wanted. So maybe that's part of the reason it's discontinued. Maybe it just wasn't as popular of an option, but very happy I was able to include this in the lineup. Now, moving along, we've got the MHT 123 and 124. These were the large Wah Wah mutes in aluminum and copper. And what did you think about these? I gotta say, the projection on these is great. They're free blowing. The intonation is really very good. I didn't really have any difficulties with low notes or high notes on these, or response. The evenness in sound and articulation from low to high, everything was really very nice on these. Very impressed. To me, these mutes are really ensemble mutes. I would say that these are for a larger group. The way that they project, I think the articulation on these is more pointed and it cuts more, but I'm not sure that I would pick either one of these over the traditional design if I were playing right into a microphone. These have so much more projection to them, and the buzz is a lot more intense. I feel like it's just going to be a little overpowering into the microphone, and you're not going to get that warmth coming through. But ensemble work, big band, wind ensemble, orchestra, these are great mutes. The only thing to keep in mind, this copper mute, as great as it projects, it is heavy. Some people get really tired playing with these copper mutes in their bells. It just weighs down the end of the trumpet. Now, rounding out the lineup, we've got the MHT 130 and 131, the bubble mutes in aluminum and copper. What did you think about these two? You can see that as these mutes get bigger, the sound, it changes, the projection changes, the articulation changes. Most people, when they're playing in big bands, when they're playing in large ensembles, they're going to want to get one of these bubble mutes. You're going to get that projection that you need. Additionally, you're going to get a clarity and point to the articulation that you may not have gotten with some of the other mutes. I will say, as I got down lower, I actually had to back off a little bit. Otherwise, the sound broke up a little bit. The intonation on these was really terrific. The evenness in sound, very, very good. Articulation, great, like pointed. So super impressed. Now, I've got to say, after playing all 7 of these mutes, I am super impressed with the Wah Wah mutes that Mutec is creating. The consistency between all of them was just outstanding. Now, if I had to pick any favorites from all 7 of these mutes, I think I would go back to the original, that traditional aluminum mute for solo work, for playing into a microphone, and then the large copper. Man, this one projects. It just feels nice to play. It's open. You can really lean into it and get a lot of articulation and buzz to the sound. So really terrific. I would use this in ensemble work, especially big band work. Really a very, very nice mute. But overall, I am very impressed with these Mutec mutes. And if you haven't checked them out yet, if you've never played any, I would encourage you to find a store that's got some, find a friend that's got some, play them. Because that's really the only way you're going to know if it's going to work for you. Well, that's about all I've got for you today. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments below. And while you're at it, hit that like button and subscribe. It really makes a very big difference. I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.